Welcome to Xybion QMS, introducing a newly released version of the web-based solution that allows you to manage all types of worker qualifications, including training, competency, skill, and experience within a flexible computer-based activity workflow. The scalable Xybion QMS system includes the qualification suite of modules or competency management that can be used seamlessly with audit management for training conformance, CAPA management for training remediation, and even DMS for document training. The system is flexible and able to meet your terminology and how you break down your tracking of qualifications. For example, via competencies or skills, training requirements, experience, certifications, and this can be done via different venues, allowing for SOP, document training, on-the-job training or OJT, demo-based training. In addition, it can be delivered via classroom or via task in the system for external training and much, much more. Although there is automation to make it easier, the first aspect of qualification management is to plan what all the competency, skills, and training are necessary per the job role. So first we start by defining the job roles in the organization and assigning users. And then we create a qualification definition or list of the skills, competencies, experience, training, and certifications that could be needed across multiple roles. Then comes the mapping, where we map the job roles to the qualifications, and interestingly, where we can put that recurrence frequency and behavior on that combination. And then we get to the automation. By a change in any one of those, it will recalculate and define what the training or qualification requirements are for all your resources. That will be per person, per role, and for each needed qualification. Those can be achieved by running a qualification activity. These include classroom training, computer-based training, on-the-job training, as well as different checking off the attestations, the signatures, and the certifications. And again, that's where automation occurs upon the successful or unsuccessful completion of training. You will have the updated qualification status and including those changes into your different reports in the system, including training status, your acquired qualifications, your qualification gaps, your assignment gaps. And all that comes into play because it's a very flexible system. We have configurable version workflows. The notifications, emails, task assignments are configurable, as well as the forms, field, business rules, and the whole flow of the various types of qualification activities. In the system, it covers the planning phase as we went through that diagram. So for example, in the planning phase, under qualifications, we will want to go through, create the job roles, the definition list, and then map those together to determine what our resource requirements are. So in creating a job role, we will see that we want to, in this case, we created a trainer role for training on the QMS system, and we can attach one or multiple people to the job role. Also, we create that list of qualification definitions. So you can break these down as granularly as you need to and create new ones. So for example, we're going to create one for a certified trainer on QMS in the system. And this will be for CAPA management. The system, and including the form, is completely configurable. The unique number can be created on demand or manually based, and in this case we're going to say it's a competency compared to an experiential one, and when we have that, it's automatically added. Now we want to map and say that that trainer job role has got to have that competency so that person can be considered competent in what they do in that training job role. So we're basically mapping the job role to the qualification. And what's interesting in the system is that here is where you can take a senior role map the same qualification and give it a different recurrent frequency than, for example, a junior role. What this means is that each role in your company can have a different type of frequency in their training. This allows a lot of flexibility in the way that you set up your training. And again, the applicability allows at will or required, and you can determine what that proficiency level is. If it's merely trained, or if you give people novice, expert, experiential type of training. Now with the resource, once any of those changes are done, automatically the resource requirements for all of the training is recalculated. And so you are able to see who has what training requirements or qualification requirements per job role in the company. Now, the doing phase, so once the planning is done, and that's usually done once and set up, and then all you have to do to manage that is by adding people to job roles. That's it, that's all. But the doing phase, once you know that a person needs that, they can go to their required qualifications and they can launch an activity. And again, the workflows are configurable. So we have two out of the box, one for just granting the qualification, so that participant already took it at another company, for example, or they went to a conference outside of the company. So that's a case where we select granting. I can pick the qualification that they acquired, and when they completed it, I can add different types of evidence for that, and the key is that we've selected that, so it will go against their qualification record and add to their list of qualifications. So the person doesn't have to go through a laborious workflow if they've taken it already outside of the company. So this allows you to do that. And again, the forms are flexible and those can be changed to meet your needs in your company. We can imply electronic signature wherever it's required. And that's the first type. Now we've also added a second workflow, which is your qualification activity. So this is a computer-based training activity which will go out to that student or that worker. And here I'm just giving it a quick name, but I'm going to then select which participant and qualification. So again, I'm going to grab that user that has to take that and grab that other qualification. So this one I haven't taken outside the company, and I'm going to ask Amy user 2 to take that qualification. Again, those categories and a lot of these features, your company can set what those lists are. And here with those checkboxes, we saw that we can check variability into the workflow. Do we want a supervisor sign off? Yes. We're going to ask for OJT on the job training or a demo before they're considered trained. In this case, I'm going to say no. But the workflow will adjust based on the options we choose. So when we do that, grant training, we've launched training, it comes into that user's My Task workload. And each user then, if they just open up their workflow forms, and in this case, again, configurable, this is where I'm pushing it to them, and all I expect them to do is certify that they have taken the training and do an attestation. Again, I can park a document in there and ask them to read it or have a different type of training. But this one is simply an attestation followed by a supervisor signature. So that is one way of taking training. Another type then is the supervisor sign off. So I've logged in now as the supervisor, and that person in the second step of the workflow is going to do their verification and note what type of proficiency they have achieved. They're trained, and yes, we're verifying them as qualified. So the failure or success, again, of that training will go against their training record, which will allow your organization to slice and dice not only if people are qualified, but their performance and how they did achieving that qualification. And the last thing is the status. So once those results are in, that status is automatically updated, so we see their last completion date. It will set their next frequency of their date, and we can track exactly in the organization who has what. And that leaves us with then monitoring. So as all these activities are going on in the organization, we can track them and we can look at reports to keep an up-to-date status. So this is your checking and acting phase. So here we go again to that all-inclusive qualification status dashboard. And we have multiple different types of filters that are available. So I can see all valid qualifications. So who is qualified, which qualification each user has achieved. I'm also able to see a gap. So these are folks that have been assigned to an activity, but they still haven't completed it. So technically there's a gap. These are types of qualifications that a person must have, but they haven't been assigned yet for various reasons. And then of course the retakes. This signifies a person who took the training, they went through the training, they're still unqualified for some reason. So you would want to follow up with them to determine what type of qualification activity they need next. And of course we have reports. So not just seeing the information on the screen, but whatever goes in can come out into the reports. And through that print button, it works in combination with that filter that's on the screen. You can create multiple types of reports, and these can be grouped reports with statistics, with in different types of formats. And so, for example, here's just one where we look at the person, and underneath the person we can see their qualification status based on their qualification. So we can see that, and if there's a frequency, we can see how they fared over time. These reports, again, with the grouping, allows us to do pie charts and bar charts and just simple Excel. So what you've seen is just a high-level overview of our quality management system with the qualification management. But we invite you to reach out to Xybion and contact us for a live demonstration to find out more about the power and performance of using Xybion QMS for the digital transformation of your quality processes. Thank you for watching.